So I have a betta fish. It's a beautiful fish. It's the only one that survived this long. We've had him for over a year. A couple of months ago, we noticed his eyes were turning white, and he seemed to be going blind. He would only stay next to the edge of the tank, and he wasn't eating very well. I thought maybe it was just old age or the natural process of a fish, and that he was going to die soon. But after a month went by and he wasn't dead, I decided to Google it and found out that it can be caused by all sorts of things. But one of the things that can cause cloudy eye is the water not being clean enough. Well, we have a filter and everything, but I noticed my little toddler had been throwing rocks from outside into the fish tank. These rocks from outside, there's nothing wrong with these rocks, but the minerals and the contaminants that they contain are not healthy for the betta fish. So, a couple of days ago, we took the betta fish out, put him in a separate tank with some clean water, and I put him up high enough that my son couldn't throw anything in there, and began to watch. He's now eating, which is a good thing. I think it means he's going to be okay. And today I noticed one of the white bubbles over his eye is actually coming off, and he can now see. You can see it kind of peeled back like a scale. And God began dealing with me just by looking at this little fish. You know, in the Bible, he says that their eyes will be blinded and the scales can fall off just so they can see the truth. And I think of Saul when he was on the road to Damascus, and he became blinded by this bright light, and he had his encounter with God, and God told him, that I'm Jesus, whom you're persecuting. And so Saul went on, and he was blind, and he went to the next town, and when he was there, Ananias came to pray for him, and when he prayed for him, the scales fell off his eyes. And for the first time in his life, Saul saw truth. He knew the truth about who God was, and it completely changed his life. It even changed his name from Saul to Paul, and he became one of the greatest apostles of the New Testament. And as I began thinking about that and how the Bible literally talks about scales falling off of people's eyes, I realized that some of the greatest things in our lives that cause our eyes to film over is contaminants in our lives. Not necessarily bad things, just things that are crowding up our life that aren't good for us. Paul says that all things are lawful unto me, but not all things are expedient. Means, I can do anything, but it's not necessarily good for me. I've been on a sugar fast. And during the sugar fast, I've laid down, my sweets, my sugar drinks, and I feel healthier. But more than that, I feel closer to God. I have a more clarity in my mind. There's a clearness there. And it wasn't that the sweets were necessarily bad for me, because in moderation, they're not terrible for you. But it's just the fact that was something in my tank that was causing my spiritual eye to be cloudy. And just removing that from my life for a short time has cleared up my spiritual vision. So I would challenge you today to look in your life and see if something that might be stopping you from seeing all God has for you, or stopping you from completely understanding His Word, or stopping you from growing in God. And just lay it down for a short little time, and see if it clears up your vision. See if the scales will drop off your eyes. Maybe it's social media. I have been trapped in that before, where I have been, too engaged in Facebook and Instagram to really connect with God. Maybe it's something else for you. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's not finding time, not being able to balance your responsibilities with your walk with God. Just find whatever it is and just lay it aside for a little while and see if that spiritual vision won't clear up, if the scales won't drop off your spiritual eyes, and you will see God in a whole new light, in a whole new way, and go to a whole new level with Him. And who knows, you might be the next Paul of our generation.